So we are now filming, and I just want to confirm, Sebastian, that you're totally okay with me filming this for the camera. And you can see that we're being captured right now. And we're going to talk about themes. And I know that the theme that we had talked about is attachment, and that you'd given me a very, very specific memory.
Yep.
But it actually illustrates a theme itself. And for you, it's about being rejected or kicked out, and somehow these kinds of thoughts come to your mind. When they come to your mind, they can be very powerful. Like you had given me this sentence: you're afraid of being kicked out, abandoned, or the threat of abandonment, or being forced to leave. And because there's a lot of historical trauma that goes along with that, you know, this becomes a theme. So lots of things can happen in your life which give you kind of what we would call as evidence that this theme is happening once again. And you're telling me that even today you perceive that things that are happening in your personal life with your wife reignite that same thought. So it's kind of like what I would call it a storyline. So when you have a storyline like that, it can be a powerful motivator in your life. And what we want to be able to do is focus on this very precisely using an exercise called Thematic Map and Release. Now I want to walk you through a few of the steps before we even start. And I know you've already said that you're giving us permission to film this. This is going to go to a professional audience, and it will be also posted online as well, so people can watch it. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. So what we're going to do is look at what happens when we have a theme like this. Is it almost gets caught, not only in our bodies but our minds, and it drives everything. It drives all of our interactions. It drives how we feel about certain situations, and it undermines our ability to actually deal with a situation that ignites that theme. This is a release exercise. It's also a focusing exercise, and we're going to go through a number of different points in which you're going to focus. Now what we do is we're actually trying to intentionally draw the theme up so you can reflect on it and actually sit and be more of an observer to that storyline. See, what happens is usually when you have a storyline that's that powerful is you bring it up and then you just feel upset and frozen or overwhelmed or whatever your go-to place is, angry or confused, whatever it is. In this situation, we focus on it. You allow whatever comes to the surface, and you become kind of a compassionate observer of that storyline. No judgment, no suppression. We go through that, we focus on it. I'll have you think about your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations, and any other thoughts that might go along with it. And then I'm going to have you do the release portion. Now think about this. We've all been to some place where there's a sandy beach, and you know what it feels like to have a handful of warm sand? You know that feeling? You know how nice that is? And then you also know the feeling of having that sand spilling through your fingers and how nice that feels? You just close your eyes for a minute and just imagine yourself doing that, and tell me when you have that.
I do.
Okay. So you can picture the feeling of the release that goes along with that. Now the next piece of release is I want you to imagine inside of yourself that you're an empty vessel filling with sand from the top of your head. And the sand fills in like an hourglass, slowly filling up, going into the front and back of your face, down your neck, into your shoulders, down your arms, into the core of the body, down your legs, past your shins and calves, into your feet. And when it gets to the tips of the toes and the tips of your fingers, I want you to actually picture that the sand is being released, just spilling out and away from you. And tell me when you have that feeling.
I do.
Good. Okay, now bring your awareness back into the room. We're going to start again.
I do my eyes closed?
No, I'm going to have you focus outside right for now. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the theme that you're going to be kicked out, abandoned, threatened with abandonment, or forced to leave, right? That's the big theme for you, right? I'm going to actually have you move your chair just a couple of inches forward. Closer, exactly, because I'm going to have you track where I point the cap of the pen. Okay, and all I want you to do when you focus on the cap of the pen is hold your attention there. And as you hold your attention, I'm going to ask you to recall that theme of being kicked out, abandoned, or threatened of abandonment, or being forced to leave. And you told me when you were here the last time that it felt pretty bad on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even an 8 now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
When you think about it.
Okay. So now I'm going to have you just silently hold that focus point and let everything that goes along with that come to the surface as best as it can. Just notice being a compassionate observer of that storyline, knowing, learning, and being open to whatever you need to know about that. And then close your eyes and then allow whatever thoughts, emotions, or body sensations that go along with that, let it surface silently, just being an observer. Keeping your eyes closed, help me to understand what you're aware of as you focus on that theme. What thoughts, emotions, or body sensations go along with that?
It's always, kind of pressure, sort of a surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always it's hard to swallow because it's such a shock.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the sudden sensation that you don't hear anything, right? Suddenly it's like, if you ever heard a gunshot, right? Like after you hear the gunshot, the only thing you hear is the gunshot, right? Like you don't hear anything else in the room, you don't hear anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same feeling, right? You're suddenly I just remember just focusing on the words and trying to make sense of what I'm saying. And then you try to process the request itself, or what do you mean by this? And then just, you get cold. Like I remember getting cold, right? Like you suddenly get as if you're freezing. And just very thirsty, not thirsty, but you get dry mouth, you get all the the symptoms of like a very stressful event.
Yep, absolutely. So now what I'm going to have you do is just notice all of that. I want you to harness your imagination, use your mind to harness that powerful imagination. Open up your hands and let them rest on your lap. And I want you to picture that you've got 2 large, warm, heavy, dry handfuls of sand. And the sensation of the warmth moves deeply into the center of the palms of your hands, and it feels soothing as it moves up your arms and into your shoulders. I want you to get the sensation of that warmth being very comforting in the center of the palms of your hands. I want you to get the sensation of the grains of sand spilling through your slightly parted fingers, just down and away, getting the sensation of release. And just allow yourself to do that. And then focusing inside of yourself, again, using your mind to harness your imagination, picturing that you are an empty vessel, filling with sand from the top of your head. The sand spills in, filling in slowly, moving into the front and back of the face, down your neck, into your shoulders, down your arms, into the core of your body, down your legs, through to the tips of the toes and tips of the fingertips, just releasing. I want you to just allow yourself to picture that for a moment. Now I want you to get the sensation of all those thoughts, the emotions and body sensations, the feeling of being cold, sensation of surprise, pressure, the words being a shock. But all of that attached to the grains of sand, which are carried down and away, spilling out the tips of the toes and fingertips, and just allow yourself to have that sensation. Just do whatever you need to do bear witness, be a compassionate observer to that storyline as you release. And I want you to bring your awareness back into the room, and I want you to just notice what you're aware of.
I mean, in the room or just in general?
Just as a result of allowing yourself to release.
I noticed my shoulders are not as tense as they were when I started to tell the story.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I can feel my pants. It's like, even just telling the story, I was like, I could go back. This was, I can remember the exact first time, right? And this was like as if I went back into, I don't know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So like right to the original
You're right to the original trauma, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the room, and I felt like my hands getting cold. I felt my shoulder getting tense. I was dry mouth, I had all, and then now I can feel like, my hands are warm. I can feel my pants are warm. I can feel the sensation of this room.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel like the chairs uncomfortable. The all the aspects of this room as opposed to the aspects of, like honestly, for a split second I was over there.
Right, because that's like the old wound making itself known in the present moment with the real day-to-day events, right?
And now I can kind of, it's...
Brought yourself back in your body.
Yeah.
Now we work with every single one of the points, all 6 of them, and then the center point. And over the course of this work, the individual's affect becomes less and less over time until the end point. It's quite remarkable.
And then finally bring your awareness back into the room again and just notice what you're aware of now.
It seems funny to say, but I'm just thinking about my schedule for today.
Good.
It's like I'm just trying to remember, like I was just basically just thinking about what I have to do at 11, and then, I got this thing to do, and
look how less gripping this abandonment thing is to you, that you're just like, oh yeah, that's boring now. What do I got to do today? This is like bringing yourself back into the present moment, back into your life. Okay, one final round. We're going here to the right, holding that focus point, allowing yourself to go back one more time to that original theme of abandonment, being rejected, told to leave. Allow anything that's still left that you need to learn about, that you need to know about, that you need to be compassionate about, let it come to the surface and close your eyes. And then opening your eyes, bringing your awareness back into the room. What do you notice now?
It's just the room itself. A lot brighter. Still, like, even though I'm just able to, to just step back from the thought itself, right? It's a thought now more than a sensation, right? Like now I hear next door the voice, but just constant, as opposed to it intermittent before, right? So, if I think about the situation, like it's as if the voice goes, I can't hear the voice, or I go to the thought now, and I can hear the voice, and the thought itself is more of just a thought, right?
Just a thought.
Same way I would think about, pick up groceries, the voice is back, the ability to kind of...
That's a powerful shift. I want you to look straight ahead with a very unfocused gaze. And, just kind of like your eyes are lazy and there's nothing much going on. And I want you to just for a moment go back to the original starting point of that theme. You're going to be kicked out, abandoned, or threats of abandonment, or forced to leave. And I want you to ask yourself on that same scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not at all disturbing, and 10 is the worst feelings of distress. You just feel awful. How ignitable is that theme right now?
Not much.
Give me the number.
2.
2. Now, I want you to have a takeaway. What new realization are you bringing with you? are you going to be able to leave this room with today?
You know, it's so long ago. I think that's the only thing I can think of, right? It's so long ago. I'm holding on to a momentary decision that was made 30 years ago based on, you know, an inability to find a different solution, right? You make a decision that, just like I make decisions every day, right? Yeah, consequences, right or wrong, but it's a decision that you make. You can never really predict the consequences, and I'm holding on to, and strangely enough now, I don't feel it anymore, right? Like there was a moment, like as we were going through the exercise, and I was like saying, I don't feel like holding on. It seems cheesy to say, right? Like I don't want to, like I go, why am I still stuck on this thing, right? It's, who cares, right? Like
that moment doesn't have to impact you anymore today. That theme, that belief that you're going to be abandoned or kicked out, it doesn't have to direct how you see the world anymore. I
almost wanted to laugh, right? Because I was saying it'd be complicated to kick me out now, right?
Yes, it may be complicated.
Because I don't just have a gym bag full of clothes, right? And that's the like. At one point, I was kind of saying how silly it is, right? To think of that it could be done instantly, right? I think when I'm kind of going through, when I was kind of focusing on it, it was, you know, when you're 15 and you get a handful of goods, it's easy, it's instantaneous, right? And nowadays, a lot more, it seems superficial to say, but there's a lot more property to divide, and not a lot, and it's...
But you're
and the
also
consequences
an adult.
Are not that,
you have resources.
That's it.
You're not this 15-year-old child who is left to his own devices, right? And that's never going to happen again.
And it's not so dire, right? And it's not like, well, I can't find another job or another place to live, right? It's. So there's a moment where I almost wanted to laugh at myself, right?
Wow. You ever think you would say that?
No. I mean, it's funny because I go back to that. As soon as you brought the story, honestly, I had trouble breathing.
Right. That was a whole 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that situation, I mean, I was in that room. I could remember the color of the carpet, and I remember that choking feeling that you get, when you. I don't know. For me, it was always a choking feeling. You're like you got trouble swallowing, you got trouble breathing.
But now, when I go back to this theme, you're going to be kicked out, abandoned, or there's a threat of abandonment. You're forced to leave.
I'm laughing. Like I'm kind of saying, how silly do you want to be? Right? Like do you understand? Like it's like as if I'm going. Yeah.
But look at how this has shaped your life, Sebastian. And all of a sudden you're telling me after a 40-minute meeting that it seems laughable, this thing that has distressed you for so many years. So you start to understand how powerful a theme can be and how it can shape your every decision, how it can shape how you function in the world and how you feel about your life and what you're really afraid of and the triggers. And all of a sudden you do 40 minutes and you're going, that storyline is not what it was.
But it's funny because I went away this weekend I was for a college football trip. And when I came back Sunday night, I had that fear that the lock should have been changed. That and I go, I didn't do anything, in the last 3 days that would warrant. But I still had that sub-feeling, last night when I'm going, maybe, it's that feeling. Now I'm saying, how silly do I want to be, right? So, and it's fun feeling.
Well, let's see how it unfolds, because we're going to track it. But I think you did really great with this exercise, and I've got it on camera. You can tell the camera how you feel.
Feel great.